President Trump is having these very active meetings now with the Crown Prince, Saudi Arabia, MBS, talking about all the different ways that Saudi Arabia wants to invest in America and vice versa. We know this has been controversial. I know I see some of the comments. I'm sure there will be comments coming in saying, I like this and I don't like this. Obviously, most of us have seen the advertisements to come to Saudi Arabia, again, to see all the different options. They did a big comedy festival that was very controversial. There's a Riyadh season they're promoting. There's theme parks. There's all these things happening right now. I mean, there's a Mr. Beast theme park that opened there this week. I mean, this is a different Saudi Arabia, or at least they're trying to make you believe it's a different Saudi Arabia. I think we should hear from both. You're going to hear from the press, and then you're going to hear a little bit of the conversation back and forth between President Trump and MBS. I just kind of want you to get a feeling of the way they're talking. The conversation's very friendly. It's very open. Of course, we know we've had a good relationship with Saudi Arabia in general for at least the last decade. They'll say the last 100 years. They kind of ignore a few of those major things. Again, we have to, can't forget about their involvement in the September 11th attacks and what that looked like. But let's hear from President Trump and MBS from just yesterday.
Have you reached an agreement on a U.S. Saudi defense treaty today? And are you going to bring up the Abraham Accords in your discussion?
I already brought them up.
What did you say?
I think I got a positive response. Would you like to respond?
Yeah. So definitely, we believe having a good relation with all Middle Eastern countries is a good thing, and we want to be part of the Abraham Accord. But we want also to be sure that we secure a clear path of two-state solution. And today we have a healthy discussion with Mr. President that we're going to work on that to be sure that we can prepare the right situation as soon as possible to have that happen.
I think I don't want to use the word commitment, but we've had a very good talk on the Abraham Accords. We talked about one state, two state. We talked about a lot of things in a short period of time. We'll be discussing it further, too. But I think you have a very good feeling toward the Abraham Accords.
Yes, definitely, Mr. President. We want peace for the Israelis. We want peace for the Palestinians. We want them to coexist peacefully in the region. And we will do our best to reach that day.
And the defense agreement, have you reached agreement on that?
We pretty much have.
Question for the Crown Prince, if I could just finish.
We have reached agreement on that.
Okay. They have reached an agreement that, of course, not about the Abraham Accords, just to clarify, because I know it was a little hard to hear what they were talking about there at the end. That was the defense agreement, which, of course, we're talking about training of arms and all of the different things that have come into play. It was, the fact that you have, this is where you got to give it up to the Crown Prince here, who is at least playing the game, saying, we want peace for the Israelis, peace for the Palestinians. I don't know that is I don't know if peace for the Israelis is something you would have heard from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia a handful of years ago, at least maybe 10, 15 years ago. So the guy is trying to at least show a positive view of his country. I'd love to hear what you think about this. Again, I know for a lot of you, probably those of you who are a little bit older, who did not grow up in Riyadh season exclusively, maybe don't understand our relationship with Saudi Arabia, or maybe haven't followed it. But it does seem like a country that is wanting to work with us and willing to work with us. And like you said, seems very, like I said, very, very friendly in these conversations. And they are a highly technological company or country as well, with so much tech coming out of the Middle East. We know it comes out of Israel significantly. A lot of the AI technology, a lot of things you're working with is Israeli based. Of course, that's also true with Saudi Arabia because they kind of have unlimited funds. That is the weird part about it. When you say $1 trillion they can invest, just think about that idea. They have $1 trillion to invest because they kind of can have as much money as they would like to say they have. It's a different kind of economy. You're talking about a kingdom here. You're talking about a country that is not necessarily run like America in terms of currency. They can throw ridiculous amounts of money at something like a Warner Brothers potentially and outbid everyone. But again, then that comes with influence. And what does that influence look like on the world? I'll be honest, when there was that bid of whether they were going to take over some of these top sports, when Live Golf and then you had the WWE and the UFC, all of them were talking about potentially selling, there was part of me that go, these are American companies. Warner Brothers built, by Americans. I don't necessarily want to see it. Electronic Arts sold significant portion of their company to a company controlled essentially by the Saudis. What does that look like? What does that look like for the future of the way our entertainment is now positioned to our kids and how our sports are presented? Now, again, if they can be in good faith, I'm not going to just besmirch them because of their country of origin. I would never do that. but you do obviously want to be careful as well. I want to talk a little bit more about that investment. I want you to hear another clip from President Trump and MBS. Let's hear bite two.
In many areas, in technology, in AI, in earth materials, magnet, etc., that will create a lot of investment opportunities.
So you are doing that now. You're saying to me now that the 600 billion will be 1 trillion.
Definitely, because what we are signing, it will facilitate that, and we
I like that very
much.
You worked hard. No, that's great. I appreciate that. That's great. We're doing numbers that nobody's ever done. And in all fairness, if you didn't see potential in the U.S., you wouldn't be doing that.
Definitely.
You don't want to lose money.
They don't want to lose money. Of course, money does talk, but also potential in the U.S., they also see potential of influence in the U.S. So you got to make sure where that investment of that $1 trillion, like I said, is going. President Trump, very confident it's going to create a lot of jobs for Americans. A lot of people are, again, you have to then discuss what's it going to look like when you're working for a Saudi Arabian company. And look, a lot of people, like I said, that maybe are working on some of the top leading entertainment. They're already dealing with that. Live Golf, obviously, you're dealing with that. Of course, they end up having to essentially swallow up the PGA and everything that happened there. I mean, you got to remember, the money is off the charts in the ways that they can handle things. So we got to be careful too. We got to make sure that we're, investing in the right ways. And of course, your kids are going to be watching. Go, yeah, I want to go to Mr. Beast World. Why would I not want to go to Beastland? Riyadh season for everybody. So let's just be careful here as we monitor what's going on. But again, I'm always happy to see any sort of positive talks in terms of the Middle East and the United States of America. If we can create peace, that would be fantastic. But let's not forget, again, about all of the issues we've had over the years. Some of them more recent than not.